Paul Mauro here, Smart Financial, back with another edition of What's Hot Right Now. And we have a couple of topics to do today. So we'll have a couple of videos about what's going on first week of February 2025. Again, some of our topics are evergreen and some are red hot. This one is red hot, right off the presses. I have to say, Vanguard just gave to every investor in America about a $300,000 gift. And let me say that again. If you're an average investor and you're the kind of person who buys funds or ETFs, mutual funds or ETFs, right? Not so much individual stocks and individual bonds and other things, but mutual funds and ETFs, you just got a huge gift. It also shook the industry this week because Vanguard, which, by the way, was the brainchild of John Bogle, who was at one time a member of Wellington Management in Boston, a firm I'm very familiar with that manages just billions and billions of dollars for super affluent families and institutions and governments around the world. So John Bogle left Wellington Management in 1974. By the way, P.S., that's about the same time I started in business, and John Bogle was a well-known name then. He's a well-known name now. John basically started Vanguard funds, and he was a big believer in low-cost investing. So for those of you that are out there that don't know what a Boglehead is, you can Google it online. There are people that became somewhat, I'd say, cultish about following John Bogle and his ideas. Now, again, I am not an invest in passive investments only kind of guy, but I do believe in the famous Peng Chen study that says every single serious investor has active investments, passive investments, and alternatives in their portfolio. You know, active, passives, and alts. That's the magic formula. So let's talk about passive investing. Passive investing are things like you stick a bunch of money in an index fund, you know, and the fund, it isn't buying and trading all day long. It's a basket of stocks in the S&P 500, or it might be a Dow index fund or a NASDAQ fund, right? And it's just got a bunch of stocks in that particular index. Okay, so what's hot about this week? Well, John Bogle, basically, or the spirit of John Bogle at Vanguard, has been reducing fees for the last 20 years. And when I say that they are racing to the bottom, they're getting very, very close to the bottom. Let me just give you an example. Over the last 20 years, we've seen mutual funds, which have been a wonderful invention for the average investor. Again, for people that don't want to spend all day picking stocks and bonds, you know, I will actually disclose to you that for many years that I owned a wonderful fund run by Will Danoff called Fidelity Contra Fund. It had an internal expense of about 1.30. That means that if that fund earned, 11.3%, you netted 10 because the fund company took for the management and expenses and all that and advertising and all that other junk they're allowed to do, 1.3%. Okay, so that was great. Nobody complained, by the way. We all made a lot of money with not only that fund, but many other funds that had what I would say significant internal expenses. Okay, fast forward, it's 2025. You remember in one of our previous videos I said that AI is going to affect every single part of your life. It's going to have a wonderful positive effect on medicine, science, technology, and money. Well, when I first met the investing community, and I was a young, financial advisor, and I went to a big performance hall in Boston called Dorothy Quincy Suite, and there was a young man there, and he was managing a mutual fund that we were all very interested in called Magellan. And I remember the presentation because Magellan Fund, which was another wonderful fund, had great returns and everything, run by a fellow named Peter Lynch, and it had a lot of expenses. It wasn't cheap. You paid loads to buy it. That means an upfront charge. And then you paid about almost 3% a year to own it. Okay. No one complained. We made a bunch of money. And someone in the audience, some wisecracking young, investment advisor or financial advisor, not me, but somebody with maybe more gumption to stand up and say, well, why are we paying so much money for the management of this? Now, you have to keep in mind, this is like 1979 or 1980 or something, right? Way before lots of technology. I mean, we had yellow pads, pencils, and it was before the first Bomar Alley computer. And he said, well, on the stage with him were about 60 people. He had half these people stand up, they were analysts. He had another half these people on the other side stand up, they were essentially traders, right? So we had people doing research, about 60 people on his team, okay? And that was probably just the core of his team. Right now, all those jobs are done by two guys and a Labrador Retriever under their desk. I mean, that's it. I mean, what happened was all that human effort, which is very expensive. Humans, they cost money. They have cigarette breaks. They take vacations. You know, they have maternity leave. They got all kinds of things: pension, retirement, health. Okay, technology has stripped out a lot of these costs. So, firms like Vanguard and others, I'm sure, are going to follow along, have reduced the cost of what's called the internal management costs of them packaging this product together and getting it to you. Okay, so less cost input, better value for the consumer, or in some cases, better profits for the manufacturer. But Vanguard happens to be, again, this is not a commercial for them, it's just a fact. It is owned by the mutual fund owners. Okay, so it's more or less like a huge ESOP, you know? So Vanguard's not retaining the savings from this technology. They're actually distributing them to their mutual fund owners. Now, let me be very specific. They said in their press release that they are releasing about $350 million of savings to their investor. There's about 3,900 ETFs that are US ETFs in the market that are competing on this front. And what Vanguard just did is they reduced their internal cost. Are you ready? You can write this down to 0.07. Okay? That means 0.07%, right? Not 1%, not a 0.5%, 0.07. Now, the industry standard is 0.44, less than half of 1%. So here's the difference. Vanguard now, 0.07. The rest of the industry, 0.44. What does it mean to you? Okay, here's what's hot. For $1 million investor who's going to be in 20 years, and let's just say you happen to be 40 and the money's going to sit there at $1 million until 60, or you happen to be a smart young investor and you're 30 and you want to get out at 50. Let's just use a 20-year time frame. So here's the difference. Over 20 years, okay, at 0.44, just putting the money in and having them charge their internal expenses, you ended up with about $5.1 million, and you would have paid out to the fund company $435,000 in fees. Okay, let me say that again. You would have $5.1 million, and you would have paid them for the pleasure of owning their product $435,000 in fees. Now, fast forward, February 2025. Now, I don't want you to all go jump out your windows and shoot yourself because you wasted money, because it just happened literally this week. Ready? Under the new Vanguard cost structure of 0.07, that same $1 million investor in 20 years will have $5.532 million. Like just about $400,000 more. And the reason is that the internal costs for the fund company are going down from $435,000 to $71,000. I mean, this is a dinky number, okay? I don't know what kind of business you can run with management and administration, for $70,000 spread over 20 years. Okay, so they have a lot of volume. That's why they can do it. They have tons and tons of people. They have great technology. All right, so this is not a big time pitch for Vanguard. I'm just telling you it's going to be a race to the bottom. You're going to see intense competitions from a lot of the mutual fund companies that we favor. And I will tell you, you hear me say nice things about things that I own and violate my own privacy. I mean, I think T. Rowe Price is a wonderful company. I own Fidelity products. There are great products with Calamos Investing. There's great products with Calvert. There's a lot of great fund companies. I don't think they're going to miss the news. What I'm telling you is over the next year, this is the time to take advantage of some of the offers, like offers from our associates at Smart Financial. Boy, take a hard peek at your portfolio. If we can help you save $300,000, we'd like to see that gift passed along to you. Now, the other sweet spot about this is for a lot of you that worry about the cost of investing and paying for advisors as you get more money and you don't really want to do it. This allows people to have an investment plus the cost of an advisor, which might be 0.30 or whatever it is, and still save money. Okay, so by reducing the internal cost, it allows you to actually pay for some outside help. Okay, this is very, very important. So I want to remind you at the end of this now that please stay in touch with us. Hit the little button there, subscribe so you keep up. We have like 6 more really hot topic videos coming out. By the way, we have a little game that we're playing. The next 20 people that go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook or whatever, contact us through the website. We're going to be giving away some free copies of my first book, Smart Financial Grandparenting, or if you prefer, my second book that's coming out on longevity is coming out this month. It's a trilogy about boomers, X-Geners, and millennials, all right? And the third one's in process. So you can take the one you prefer, but for the next 20 people, hit us up, like us on Facebook, subscribe to the channel, and we will be happy to downstream a free copy of Smart Financial Grandparenting. And if you're young, give it to your grandparents. I'm Mauro. I'll see you next time on Smart Financial.